Hello kids, Shubham Mangalam at Little Scholar High School. I am Sangeeta Singh, taking 9th standard, subject English, and the topic to be discussed today is Unit 1, Lesson 1 is humor. Now let us see what is humor. Can any one of you tell me what is humor? Humor is the most important aspect of life. As we all know, every person experiences stress and tension in his or her life. But humor is the only medicine to cure it. Humor evokes laughter and it also provides amusement. It makes a person laugh and it also makes a person happy and relieves him or her from stress and tension. And humor is the most effective and important ingredient which adds spice to our life. Humor is the thing which is enjoyed by all, irrespective of age, caste, and gender. And it is the thing which can bind all of us. And humor also generates positive and happy environment. Even the most difficult situations in our life can be handled with ease if we have a good sense of humor. So studies have shown that a sense of humor can improve one's mental as well as physical health, and also it can improve the quality of life. Humor is mankind's greatest blessing. So every human being should have humor in his or her life to keep himself or herself always happy and energetic. Now I want all of you to look at page 2 of your textbook. So what do you see in the picture? What do you see in the picture? So you can see a monkey looking at its own reflection. Isn't it funny? Have you ever seen a monkey looking at its own reflection? Or have you seen any other animal looking at its own reflection in the mirror? Isn't it humorous? Yes. So but what would have prompted the monkey to look at its own reflection in the mirror? Maybe it was eager to admire its beauty, or it might be shocked to see another animal standing right in front of him, or it might be thinking that other animal is trying to imitate it. Okay, students, now let us proceed to lesson 1, the snake and the mirror. The author of this lesson is Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. He was born on 21st January 1908 and expired on 5th July 1994. He was a Malayalam writer from Kerala, India. He was a novelist, a short story writer, and also a freedom fighter. He is regarded as one of the most successful and outstanding writers from India, and he was honored with Padma Shri in 1982 for his contribution to the field of literature. Now let us look at the new words from the lesson. Full-blooded. Full-blooded is strong, and meager. Anything which is small in quantity is called meager. Solitary is single, and vest is a garment which is worn under a shirt, and gable is the upper part of a wall below a sloping roof, and parting is a line on a person's head where the hair is divided with a comb, and pace is to walk up and down 2 to 3 times, and thud is a dull sound made when any heavy object falls to the ground. Wriggled is moving with twists and turns, and slithered is again, it is about movement. So these two words, wriggled and slithered, are associated with the movement of the snake here. Quarters, the parts of the body. Hood is the expanded part of the snake's head. Molten, something which is heated to a very high temperature. And mascara is a substance which is applied on the eyelashes to make them look thicker and darker. Obviously girls might be knowing better about this mascara. So vermilion, which is something which is bright red in color. A man of flesh and blood is a normal man. And greedy, which is unpleasant, is called greedy. Sprinter, a fast runner, is called a sprinter. Taken with is attracted by. The lesson, the snake and the mirror, is the story of a doctor. In this lesson, the doctor was narrating his own story in which he had experienced a close encounter with a snake, that too a cobra. The doctor returned to his room after a meal at a restaurant. As soon as he opened the door of his room, he heard a noise, and that was a noise made by the rats. And he was sharing his room with the rats. And the doctor had just set up his medical practice, and his earnings were meager. And so he was living in a small rented room which was not electrified. And at that time, he had only about 60 rupees in his suitcase, and he also possessed few shirts and a black coat. And as soon as the doctor entered the room, he lit a kerosene lamp and he took off his black coat. And then he lay down on his bed, but he couldn't sleep. Then he went out to the veranda to feel some fresh air, but he couldn't feel the air. So he came back and then he sat on the chair. Then he opened the book, the Materia Medica. He tried to go through the book, but he was tempted to look at himself in the mirror. He was a great admirer of beauty, so he ran his comb through the hair and he adjusted the parting. And then he again heard the sound of the familiar, which was a familiar one. And then he ignored the sound of that and he looked at his face, and then he took an earth-shaking decision. That was an important decision, that he would always shave daily and grow a thin mustache to look more handsome. And he also thought that he would always keep an attractive smile on his face as he was a bachelor. And as all these thoughts were going on in his mind, he resumed his seat in the chair, and then he heard a dull thud sound, and a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on his shoulder. And the snake moved onto his shoulder, and then it coiled around his left arm. And the doctor was so scared, and he was sitting like a stone image without any movement. The snake was powerfully crushing his arm, and death was few inches away from the doctor. Then the snake turned its head towards the mirror and saw its reflection. Then the snake unwound itself from his arm, and it slowly moved into his lap. It moved towards the mirror, and then the doctor got up from the chair, holding his breath. Then he went out quietly and he started running towards his friend's house. He did not stop running till he reached his friend's house. The next morning, the doctor went to his room along with his friends to move his things from there, but he was shocked to find that a thief had already stolen most of his things. Okay students, I hope all of you have understood the lesson, and at the same time you might have enjoyed listening to the story of the doctor, and we will discuss the grammar part in the next session. Now I want all of you to note down today's Sakshi. The classwork is explained lesson 1, the snake and the mirror, and the homework is I want you to read the lesson thoroughly and revise the new words and learn meanings.